The city was waking slowly. Chicago's streets glimmered under a thin layer of frost, reflecting the pale morning light. Steam rose from manholes, curling like ghostly fingers into the cold air. Patrol Car 42B rolled past shuttered shops, tires crunching against icy patches of asphalt. Officers Ryan Miller and Denise Cole were finishing the early morning sweep of their beat, sipping lukewarm coffee, their breath fogging in the chill. It was another ordinary Tuesday, or so they thought. Then the sound hit them, a high-pitched yelp, almost human in its desperation, slicing through the city's low hum. Ryan glanced at Denise. "Did you hear that?" he muttered. She nodded, eyes narrowing. It came again, urgent, raw, and trembling, the kind of cry that makes your chest tighten without warning. They slowed the cruiser and peered down the alley to their right. A shadow flickered, darting between dumpsters. Ryan squinted. It was a dog, a brown, scruffy dog, soaked from the morning frost and dirt-streaked like she had been running for miles. But she wasn't alone. A small bundle clung to her side, a tiny, trembling puppy, barely bigger than a loaf of bread. Denise instinctively reached for the door handle, but Ryan's hand shot up. "Wait!" The dog's eyes were locked on them, golden brown, wide, panicked. Her ears were pinned back, her teeth barely visible in a low growl. She hesitated at the curb, then, with a desperate leap, she vaulted straight into the open passenger side door of their patrol car. The puppy tumbled behind her, squeaking as it hit the seat. For a heartbeat, everything froze. The car smelled of leather, old coffee, and morning chill, but now it reeked faintly of fear and wet fur. The mother dog nudged the puppy gently with her nose, pressing it close. She didn't growl at them, but her eyes pleaded, almost human in their intensity. "Help him. Please help him." Denise fumbled for her radio, but her hands shook. "UH 42B, we have a situation." Her voice trembled, low and uncertain. Ryan leaned closer, heart hammering. The dog whined softly, and that tiny whimper pierced him deeper than any alarm ever could. He could see dirt matted into the puppy's fur, and then the first drops of blood. His stomach turned. "Call animal control," he said, though part of him already knew this wasn't going to be standard procedure. "And maybe a vet. Now." The dog's urgency intensified. She pawed at the seat, shifting the puppy closer, nudging him toward the officers as if transferring the responsibility. Ryan knelt, careful not to make sudden movements. Hey, it's okay," he whispered. But her gaze didn't waver. She wasn't just scared. She was terrified, protective in a way that demanded action. Denise grabbed the blanket from the back of the cruiser. The dog stiffened, muscles taut. Ryan's voice softened. "We're not going to hurt him." Slowly, carefully, he draped the blanket over the puppy. The little creature trembled violently, whimpering, tiny paws scrabbling for the warmth it had lost. The mother dog pressed herself over the blanket, circling protectively, growling whenever Denise tried to adjust the edges. Then Ryan noticed the puppy's tiny body. It was limp in parts, shivering uncontrollably. Its breathing was shallow, irregular. His heart sank. He's not going to make it if we don't act fast," he murmured, voice low. Denise nodded, swallowing hard. She had seen a lot in her years on the force, but nothing like this. Pure, raw desperation packed into 4 legs and a mother's unbreakable love keeping her baby alive. The dog's gaze flicked toward the windshield, tracking the street outside. She whimpered again, a sound that made Ryan's throat tighten. She wasn't just lost. She was hunted by circumstances they didn't yet understand. How long had she been out here? How many nights did she run through streets like this, searching for safety? For her puppy? Ryan reached for his gloves, his voice quiet but firm. "We're taking you both to the station. You'll be safe there." The dog hesitated, ears twitching. Then, as if understanding, she nudged the puppy gently again, pressing it into the corner of the seat, and sat back, tail tucked but posture rigid, ready to protect until the very last second. Denise started the car slowly, engine humming to life. The mother dog's head snapped toward the rearview mirror, eyes locking with theirs, the kind of stare that burrows into memory. Ryan's hand rested lightly on the dashboard. "Almost there," he whispered. Outside, the city continued its indifferent morning rush. oblivious to the drama unfolding in a parked cruiser. The puppy stirred slightly, whimpering again. The mother pressed her nose against him, licking a tiny paw, keeping him warm. Ryan glanced at the small creature. Blood had stained its fur near the neck, a raw, red smudge that spoke volumes about the danger they'd escaped. The mother had risked everything to get him here. And for what? How close had they been to losing him already? Denise finally broke the silence, voice trembling. I can't believe she just jumped in, just like that. Ryan didn't respond. He couldn't. His eyes stayed on the mother dog, watching every movement, the tension in her muscles, the low whine escaping her throat, the vigilance that never faltered. He realized that if she trusted them to save her puppy, they had no choice but to follow through. As the patrol car turned toward the station, the mother dog's whimpers grew louder, almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat syncing with the city's pulse. Ryan glanced down at the blanket covering the tiny body. Is he going to survive? The thought was a knife twisting in his gut. And then, without warning, the puppy let out a weak squeak, almost a gasp, and the mother dog stiffened. Her ears flattened, her gaze darted toward the rear doors. Something outside, something unseen, had caught her attention. Ryan's breath hitched. What was out there? Who or what was following them? The mother dog growled, low and feral, a sound that set the hair on Ryan's arms on end. Denise instinctively reached for the door lock, but Ryan held up a hand. The mother dog's entire body was a warning. Don't leave us. Don't let them get him. The city streets blurred past, indifferent, as a mother's courage and a puppy's fragility filled the cruiser. And somewhere in the shadows, danger waited. They didn't yet know how close it had been, or how much worse it could get. For now, the mother had chosen them. She had jumped into their lives with nothing but trust and desperation. And Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a story that would break hearts. The patrol car rolled into the station parking lot, its tires crunching against frost-coated asphalt. Inside, the mother dog sat stiffly, ears pinned, eyes wide and alert, her body a taut coil of tension around the fragile puppy. The little bundle, barely alive, twitched under the thin blanket, its chest rising and falling in irregular spasms. Denise and Ryan exchanged a glance heavy with unspoken concern. They knew this wasn't a situation that would be fixed with a phone call or paperwork. This was life and death. Call the vet, now, Ryan ordered, urgency sharpening his voice. Denise fumbled with her radio, hands shaking slightly. Dr. Callahan, it's an emergency. A puppy injured, possibly bleeding, hypothermic. We need you at the station immediately. The line crackled before a calm but strained voice answered. I'm on my way. Keep it warm. Don't panic. The mother dog, as if understanding the words, pressed herself closer to the puppy. Her head rested gently on his small frame, nostrils twitching as she sniffed every inch of him. She growled softly when anyone approached, a warning that sliced through the quiet station. Officers tiptoed around her, careful not to provoke a defensive reflex. Even the janitor paused in the hallway, eyes wide, sensing the raw intensity radiating from the animals. Time stretched. Minutes felt like hours. Ryan kept talking to her softly, telling her it would be okay, that the puppy would survive. But she only stared at him, eyes unblinking, almost accusing. Her message was clear: you better make sure he lives. Finally, Dr. Callahan arrived, bundled against the cold, carrying a medical kit. She crouched near the cruiser, inspecting the puppy with a practiced eye. He's hypothermic and there's some internal trauma. We need to move fast, she said. Her voice, though professional, carried the tension of someone who had seen too many fragile lives hang in the balance. They carefully lifted the puppy, blanket and all. The mother whined sharply but didn't resist. It was as if she understood this was the only way he could survive. Ryan felt a lump in his throat as he followed the vet to the small emergency room set up in the station. Even here, the mother refused to leave the doorway, packing, whining, ears swiveling toward every sound. Dr. Callahan began her work immediately. She checked the puppy's temperature, It was dangerously low and started warming him with heated pads and fluids. Ryan and Denise watched, helpless but determined. The puppy's tiny body convulsed twice as the shock of the trauma coursed through him, and then a quiet stillness settled. The mother dog rested her head against the glass partition separating the examination table from the holding area. Her golden-brown eyes were wet and wide, tracking every movement, every instrument, every sound. She nudged the puppy gently when he twitched, as if to say, "You have to fight. You can't leave me." As Dr. Callahan worked, Ryan finally allowed himself to notice the details of the puppy's injuries. There were faint red stains on the fur, evidence of bites, scratches, or worse. The tiny limbs trembled uncontrollably. Without intervention, there was little chance he would survive the next 24 hours. The weight of responsibility settled over Ryan like a physical force. He had seen tragedies in the line of duty, but rarely something so raw and intimate. A mother's love confronting life-and-death stakes head-on. While the puppy was stabilized, Ryan moved to check the security footage from the surrounding neighborhood, hoping for a clue about what had brought them to the patrol car. The footage was grainy but chilling. It showed the mother dog circling a street corner for hours, packing in the cold, ears alert, eyes searching. She approached parked cars, sniffed the tires, then retreated. Then, just before the patrol car appeared, she bolted toward it, leapt inside, and stayed there until help arrived. Denise's voice broke the silence. "Why her? Why now? Why that car?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. Ryan shook his head, feeling the weight of it. This was no ordinary street dog. Something or someone had forced her into desperation. And the puppy, he had already been through too much. Dr. Callahan finally stepped back, wiping her hands. "He's stable for now," she said cautiously. "But he's fragile. He's barely clinging to life. We need to keep him with her if possible. She's his only comfort right now. She's remarkable. I've never seen anything like it." The mother dog whined softly and nudged the puppy closer. Ryan bent down, his hand brushing the fur on her head. "We're not going to let anything happen to him," he whispered. She tilted her head as if judging the sincerity of his promise. Then, satisfied or perhaps resigned, she lay down, keeping the puppy pressed to her chest. Hours passed. The station buzzed with activity, officers stopping by to peek, offering blankets and food that were refused. The mother dog's loyalty didn't waver. She didn't eat, didn't rest. She just stayed pressed against her baby, whining softly when he moved, growling at any movement that threatened his safety. Ryan stepped outside for a moment, phone in hand, trying to piece together the next steps. Animal control could help, but the urgency of the situation demanded speed. And as he watched the city streets outside, he realized something darker was at play. Someone had abandoned this puppy. And if that wasn't bad enough, the mother dog had clearly been fighting to keep him alive against impossible odds. Someone out there had chosen cruelty over compassion. Inside, Denise whispered softly to Ryan, "Do you think she knows what's coming? That it might be even worse?" He didn't answer. He didn't want to imagine it. All he knew was that in that moment, in the sterile glow of the station lights, life and death balanced on a knife's edge. Then the puppy let out a small, pitiful cry, a sound so fragile it seemed like it might shatter at any moment. The mother dog stiffened immediately, ears swiveling, muscles coiled. She sniffed the air, whined, then looked directly at the door, alert, fearful. Something or someone had caught her attention. Ryan's stomach sank. Outside, the city moved on, indifferent. But here, inside the small station, a mother dog had jumped into a patrol car and delivered a silent plea. Protect him. Keep him alive. Find the ones who did this. And as Ryan watched her, heart tight in his chest, he realized that the real story, the one that would break hearts, was only beginning to unfold. The mother dog wasn't just protective. She was a witness, a survivor. And whatever dangers lay ahead, they had no idea how close they had come to losing the puppy already, or how much worse it could get if they weren't careful. The station fell silent again, save for the soft whimpers of the tiny puppy and the occasional low growl from the mother. Outside, shadows lengthened, and the chill of the morning lingered. And somewhere just beyond the city streets, the person who had abandoned the puppy waited, unaware that their cruelty had triggered something far bigger, something relentless. The morning fog had barely lifted from Chicago streets when Ryan and Denise set out to trace the path the mother dog had taken. She had led them to the patrol car with unerring precision, but where had she come from? And who, or what, had put the puppy in such peril? They drove slowly, retracing the small streets, scanning alleys, sidewalks, and empty lots. Ryan had a sinking feeling that the answers would be grim. Denise held the puppy in a blanket, cradling it as gently as if it were a newborn child. The mother dog, her body tense but alert, followed in the cruiser, ears pricked, nose sniffing every curve of the street. Eventually, they came to a narrow alley behind a shuttered warehouse. Trash bins teetered precariously, and the ground was slick with frost and puddles from the morning thaw. Ryan's stomach tightened as he noticed something tucked behind a dumpster, a soaked cardboard box. Denise set the puppy down on the backseat floor and Ryan carefully approached the box, gloves on. Inside, his worst fears were confirmed. Torn fabric, bloodstains, and faint paw prints lined the cardboard interior. The remnants of what had been a litter of puppies lay scattered, most lifeless. Only one, the one now trembling under Denise's care, had survived. Ryan's heart sank. This is criminal, he muttered, voice barely audible. Who would do this? Denise's hand flew to her mouth. I don't understand people could be so cruel. And she gestured toward the mother dog, sitting stiffly in the cruiser, tail flicking anxiously. She ran through all of this just to save him. Ryan knelt, examining the ground. Tiny paw prints led away from the box, but they ended abruptly at the street corner. Whoever had abandoned them had made a quick escape. Ryan glanced at the surrounding buildings, searching for surveillance cameras, any clue to who had left this horror behind. He spotted a camera mounted on the side of a nearby warehouse, its lens aimed toward the alley. They hurried inside the building's small lobby, knocking on the door until an elderly janitor opened, suspicious eyes narrowing at their presence. Security footage? Ryan asked. The janitor hesitated. Yeah, maybe, but why are you asking? We need it. It's an emergency, Denise said firmly. After a moment's pause, the man nodded and led them to a dusty office. The footage was grainy, but it revealed the scene with brutal clarity. A woman dragging a soaked cardboard box across the alley, glancing around nervously. She dropped the box without hesitation and fled toward a waiting car. Ryan froze. He recognized the vehicle immediately, a sleek black SUV parked just a few blocks from the alley, one he had passed dozens of times on his beat. Familiar, too familiar. His gut twisted. She just left them, Denise whispered, disbelief heavy in her voice. How could she do that? Ryan shook his head, the images burned into his mind. The mother dog's desperate sprint, her leap into the patrol car, now made sense. She hadn't wandered blindly. She had been chasing the woman, following the one chance her puppy had to survive. The precision of her actions, how she picked that car at that moment, was chilling and inspiring at the same time. They returned to the station, minds racing. The puppy's condition was delicate, every second counted. Ryan placed him back with the mother dog, who immediately curled around him, nose nudging and licking. The puppy twitched weakly but responded, a tiny squeak escaping his lips. The mother's ears flattened, alert to every sound outside the room. Ryan sat beside her, rubbing his temples. We have to find her, he muttered. The woman, she has no right. We need to make sure she can't do this again. Denise nodded, jotting down notes and cross-referencing reports on illegal breeders, animal cruelty cases, anything that might match the black SUV and the woman in the footage. Hours passed. The mother dog refused to rest, shifting constantly to keep the puppy warm. Her whines echoed softly through the station, a haunting soundtrack to their investigation. Ryan watched her, marveling at her unwavering determination. No commands, no coaxing, just instinct, love, and desperation. Then Denise's phone buzzed. A neighbor had come forward with more footage. They had seen the woman earlier in the week moving crates in and out of a small warehouse. Ryan's stomach sank further. It wasn't a one-time incident. This was deliberate, methodical, and likely illegal. The implication hit them both like a punch. The woman hadn't just abandoned a litter. She had created conditions that allowed life and death to hang on a thread, and the mother dog had forced her way into the police car to save the one puppy who still had a chance. Ryan leaned back, exhaling sharply. "We're going to have to get her on record, charges, evidence. This is beyond anything I've dealt with." His voice faltered for a moment, then hardened. "And we need to make sure she can't hurt another animal again." Meanwhile, the mother dog lay down with the puppy pressed to her chest, ears twitching at every sound of footsteps or movement. It was as if she knew more than they did, that the threat was still real, still out there, still watching. Her eyes flicked toward the door each time it opened. Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't only protecting her puppy from physical harm, she was shielding him from something worse. As the afternoon wore on, Ryan revisited the footage. The woman's license plate was partially obscured, but the car was unmistakable, familiar to officers patrolling the area for months, a local breeder under previous complaints already flagged for questionable practices. His stomach sank. It wasn't random cruelty. This had a name, a face, someone who had been monitored before but never caught in the act. Denise glanced at him, voice barely above a whisper. "You're not thinking what I'm thinking, are you?" Ryan didn't answer immediately. He watched the mother dog nuzzle the puppy gently, her eyes filled with exhaustion and determination. Then he nodded grimly. "We have to move fast. If she knows we're onto her, she could disappear. Or worse, the puppy could be in danger again." Just then the mother dog stiffened, ears swiveling toward the station door. A shadow flickered outside the glass. She growled low, protective, warning, and whined, softly, but enough to send a shiver down Ryan's spine. Denise grabbed the puppy instinctively. Ryan rose, moving toward the door, hand on his service weapon, not for the dog, but for the unknown human threat. Whoever had abandoned the litter was still out there. They didn't know it yet, but the chase had just begun. The mother dog, sensing danger, pressed closer to the puppy, her body taut, eyes wide, and muscles coiled like springs. Ryan's heart pounded. She wasn't just a witness. She was a guardian, a soldier in fur. And whatever came next, she was ready. The black SUV had left its mark on the city. And now, thanks to a mother's desperate courage, the officers were closing in. But the woman had already vanished from the alley. Only shadows remained. And in that moment, Ryan realized something chilling. They had not seen the last of her. The mother dog had jumped into the patrol car for a reason, and that reason was far bigger than anyone could imagine. The station was quiet except for the soft whimpers of the puppy and the low growls of his mother. Ryan and Denise sat at a table covered with papers, laptop screens flickering with surveillance footage and records. The black SUV from the alley had a name now. Marlene Whitaker, a local breeder already under suspicion for illegal operations. But confronting her wasn't going to be simple. She had lawyers, she had alibis, and she had no visible conscience. Ryan rubbed his face, exhaustion weighing heavily on him. "I can't believe someone could do this deliberately. I mean, look at her. Look at how far this dog ran to save her baby." He glanced toward the mother dog, sitting alert by the puppy, her ears twitching with every sound. Denise nodded, unable to speak because words felt inadequate. After hours of tracking, the officers traced Marlene's movements to a suburban warehouse on the edge of the city. Ryan's stomach sank as he remembered the alley footage, the way the woman's hands shook as she dragged the soaked cardboard box to the car. This wasn't just neglect. This was cold, calculated cruelty. They decided to confront her, but carefully. They couldn't risk alerting her that the police were closing in before securing evidence. Ryan and Denise reviewed the footage again, noting every detail. The black SUV's license plate, the woman's clothing, the time stamps. even the sound of the box scraping across the pavement. Each frame fueled their resolve. Meanwhile, back at the station, the puppy's condition worsened. Hypothermia and infection were relentless. Dr. Callahan worked tirelessly, adjusting IVs, checking vitals, monitoring for signs of organ failure. The mother dog refused to leave, curling tightly around her baby, her eyes scanning the room as if daring anyone to get too close. Ryan watched her and felt an unexplainable mix of awe and sorrow. She wasn't just protective. She was fierce, relentless, and heartbroken all at once. When they finally confronted Marlene at her warehouse, she tried to play innocent. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, brushing dirt from her hands as if she hadn't abandoned a litter of fragile puppies in the freezing cold. But Ryan held up the footage. Her face went pale. "That's not mine," she stammered. Denise's voice was sharp. "The mother dog followed your car. She risked her life. We have the footage. Do not lie." Marlene's eyes darted nervously, her veneer of control cracking. For the first time, Ryan saw fear, not for herself but for her freedom. Then she laughed nervously. "They were defective. I couldn't keep them. It's not illegal to discard them." Ryan's stomach churned. He had heard cruelty excuses before, but this was something darker. She wasn't just careless. She was callous. And now her cruelty was being exposed. Back at the station, the puppy's breathing had grown shallow. Dr. Callahan looked up at Ryan and Denise, her face grim. "He's stable for the moment, but he's not out of danger. We're fighting every second to keep him alive. If there's a chance for him to survive, it's because of her mother." She gestured toward the mother dog, who was lying with her head pressed against the puppy's tiny chest. Ryan felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. Denise whispered, "It's amazing. She hasn't left him for a second." The mother dog's eyes flicked toward them, and for a moment it was as if she understood every word. Ryan realized the truth. No human could provide the unconditional, instinctive care that this mother dog had, not for this tiny, fragile life. Hours dragged on. Marlene's denial and the legal complexity slowed the process. But the footage, the alley evidence and witness statements painted a damning picture. The officers knew it wouldn't be long before charges were filed, but the question gnawed at Ryan. Had this woman done this before? How many other animals had suffered while she avoided accountability? As the evening shadows deepened, the mother dog remained vigilant, licking the puppy's tiny head and chest, pressing him to her warmth. Ryan noticed a faint trembling in her body, the stress of fear and exhaustion catching up. He moved closer, resting a hand gently on her back. She flinched but did not move away. Her message was clear: don't fail him. Don't fail us. Then unexpectedly, the puppy let out a small, wet whimper. The mother's ears perked immediately, her eyes darting to the station door. Ryan's heart skipped a beat. There had been a sound outside, soft, almost imperceptible, but to the mother dog it was a warning. She growled low, a deep, protective rumble that reverberated through the room. Denise looked toward the door, anxiety written across her face. "Someone's out there." She whispered the words, but Ryan knew she wasn't imagining it. The mother dog was alert to threats they couldn't yet perceive, sensing danger in a way that humans could not. Minutes passed in tense silence. Footsteps echoed faintly down the hallway, drawing closer. The mother dog's growl intensified, her body tensing like a spring ready to snap. The puppy whimpered again, weak but alive, and the mother pressed herself over him protectively, ears flattened, tail coiled around his tiny body. Then, just as quickly as it had begun, the footsteps stopped. A shadow passed across the glass door, and the mother dog stiffened, tracking it with wide, fearful eyes. Ryan's jaw tightened. Whoever, or whatever, was outside, the mother dog knew it was a threat. He had no doubt. Denise swallowed hard. "Do you think she's back, the breeder?" she whispered. Ryan shook his head. "I don't know, but she could be, and if she is, we need to be ready." The mother dog let out a low, throaty whine, staring at the door like she was ready to defend her puppy with her life. The room fell silent again, punctuated only by the faint beeping of monitors and the soft whimpers of the puppy. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the drama unfolding within the small police station. But inside, life and death balanced precariously, with a mother dog's love at the center, guarding her baby against an unseen danger. Ryan realized something he hadn't before. This wasn't just about catching a criminal. This was about survival, instinct, and the raw power of a mother's love. It was about how one small, fragile life depended entirely on courage, persistence, and an unbreakable bond. And yet, as he watched the mother dog press her nose to the puppy's trembling body, growling softly at every sound, he felt the tension coil tighter. Whatever Marlene Whitaker had planned, or had done before, was still out there. The mother dog had saved the puppy once, but Ryan knew instinctively that this story was far from over. Outside, the wind howled through the streets, carrying a sense of foreboding. The shadow of the SUV, the memory of the alley, and the chilling realization of Marlene's cruelty lingered in their minds. And inside, the mother dog's eyes never left the door, watching, waiting, and refusing to let the danger touch her baby. This was more than instinct. This was love, pure, relentless, and terrifying in its intensity. The city outside the station hummed with its usual chaos, cars honking, buses rumbling, distant sirens echoing. But inside, time moved differently. The mother dog had made a fortress of the small kennel room, curling tightly around the puppy, her body a warm shield against the cold. Every breath she drew was calculated, each whine and low growl a warning to the unseen dangers that might approach. Ryan and Denise watched from a distance, reluctant to break the fragile bubble of security she had created. The puppy stirred weakly, his tiny limbs quivering, chest rising and falling with shallow, irregular breaths. Dr. Callahan hovered nearby, her hands deftly checking vitals, adjusting the heated pads and monitoring every fluctuation. She had stabilized him temporarily, but the truth was grim. The newborn's body was fragile, teetering on the edge of life and death. Ryan leaned against the wall, exhaustion etched into his face. "I've never seen anything like her," he murmured to Denise. She nodded, eyes never leaving the pair. "She's extraordinary. She's not just protecting him, she's fighting for him." Hours passed, but the mother dog remained vigilant. She refused food, water, even a moment of rest, pressing her body into the puppy's frail form as though sheer willpower could keep him alive. Every time a footstep approached the kennel door, she lifted her head, ears alert, growling softly. The sound was low, primal, resonating deep in the chest of anyone who heard it. It was a warning, a claim. "Stay away. He belongs to me." Ryan glanced at Denise, a silent question in his eyes. She shook her head. Words felt inadequate. No human could replicate the raw, instinctive care of a mother dog fighting for her baby's life. It was love without calculation, courage without hesitation, and it terrified and humbled them both. Suddenly, the puppy let out a tiny, rasping cry. The mother's ears twitched, her body stiffening immediately. Ryan and Denise held their breath. The sound was almost imperceptible, but to her, it was enough to ignite an urgent response. She nudged him gently, pressed her nose against his chest, and licked his face with careful, deliberate strokes. Dr. Callahan stepped closer. "He's showing signs of recovery," she whispered, eyes scanning the monitors. "But he's fragile. Every minute counts. She's giving him the best chance he has." The officers exchanged a look, an unspoken acknowledgement of the extraordinary bond they were witnessing. This mother dog, ragged, cold, and exhausted, was the single reason the puppy still clung to life. It was a miracle forged in desperation and instinct, and the weight of it pressed on their hearts. Hours bled into night. The city lights outside the station's windows glimmered faintly, casting long shadows across the floor. The mother dog didn't stir, didn't relax, refusing even to shift significantly despite her obvious fatigue. Ryan and Denise took turns sitting near the kennel, whispering reassurances, providing warmth, watching as a vigil unfolded that no human could sustain. Then a soft chime from the station door startled them. The mother dog's ears perked sharply, her body tensing instantly. She let out a low growl, more pronounced this time, and positioned herself between the door and her baby. Ryan's pulse quickened. Whoever, or whatever, had entered had not yet revealed itself. Footsteps echoed down the hall, deliberate, cautious. The mother dog's growl intensified, deep and guttural, vibrating through the room. The puppy stirred, weakly responding to the protective energy emanating from his mother. Denise's hand instinctively moved to the blanket, shielding him from potential danger, while Ryan inched toward the door. A shadow appeared in the doorway. The mother dog lunged forward, teeth bared, growling louder than any human could imagine. Ryan held her back, voice firm but calm. "Easy, easy, girl. It's okay." The shadow moved closer, revealing itself as a uniformed colleague carrying a stack of documents. Relief washed over them, but the intensity of the moment lingered. As the night wore on, Dr. Callahan administered medications and IV fluids, carefully monitoring every heartbeat. The puppy's chest rose more steadily, his tiny whimpers evolving into weak whines. The mother dog responded instantly, nudging him, licking his head, curling even tighter to maintain warmth. Ryan and Denise watched, unable to tear their eyes away. At one point, Denise whispered, "I think he might make it, but I can't believe she hasn't left him even for a second." Ryan nodded, his throat tight. She knows he can't survive without her. She's not just protecting him, she's keeping him alive. Suddenly, a phone rang, slicing through the quiet. Ryan answered quickly. It was an anonymous teepster calling to report a warehouse connected to the breeder Marlene Whitaker. Ryan's stomach dropped as he listened. The tip indicated ongoing illegal activity, a potential new litter of puppies at risk. The mother dog stiffened as if sensing the urgency in his tone. She whined softly, pressed closer to the puppy, and growled low, eyes flicking toward the door. Ryan's hands tightened around the phone. "We're going to check it out. Don't worry, we won't let anything happen." The mother dog tilted her head, ears flicking, as if understanding the gravity of the situation. Minutes later, Dr. Callahan adjusted the heating pads, murmuring to the puppy. His breathing was steady now, though fragile, and his tiny eyes fluttered open for the first time. The mother dog responded immediately, licking his face, pressing her body tighter against him. Ryan felt a lump in his throat. In that moment, the bond between mother and child seemed unbreakable, forged in suffering and survival. But the reprieve was fragile. The tip about the warehouse reminded him that the danger wasn't over. The breeder had not been caught, and the possibility of more suffering hung heavy in the air. The mother dog, sensing a threat they could not see, shifted her weight, growling softly at the shadows cast by the station lights. Denise glanced at Ryan, anxiety and awe in her eyes. She knows something we don't." Ryan nodded silently. It was true. The mother dog had instincts sharper than any humans, tuned to survival and protection. She had saved her puppy once. She would do it again, no matter the cost. The station seemed to hold its breath. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the fragile life inside the small room. Every heartbeat of the tiny puppy was a victory, every growl and whine from the mother dog a declaration of war against cruelty. They had survived the first night, but Ryan knew instinctively that survival was temporary. The battle for life and justice was only beginning. And then, as the night deepened, the mother dog stiffened again, ears twitching, eyes wide. A sound, faint, almost imperceptible, echoed from the street outside. She whined sharply, muscles coiled, ready to defend. Ryan's stomach dropped. It was the same feeling he'd had the day she jumped into the patrol car. Imminent danger, invisible yet undeniable. The puppy whimpered and she pressed closer, growling low and steady, eyes fixed on the door. Ryan whispered to Denise, voice tight, "Whatever happens, she's not leaving him, not for a second." Denise nodded, heart racing. And at that precise moment, the station door creaked slightly, as if pushed by an unseen hand. The mother dog lunged instinctively, teeth bared, every instinct screaming warning. The puppy squeaked, pressed against her chest, and the officers froze. Outside, the shadows seemed to twist, and the unknown threat loomed closer. The night had only just begun. The station had settled into a fragile calm. The puppy lay in the mother dog's embrace, chest rising and falling more steadily, eyes flickering open and closed, weak but alive. Ryan and Denise shared a brief glance of relief, temporary, fragile. They had survived one night, but instinct gnawed at them. Danger was never far behind. Dr. Callahan hovered nearby, checking vitals again. "He's stable for now," she said, her voice careful. "But complications are possible. His organs are under extreme stress and any setback could be fatal." Her gaze softened at the mother dog, who lay rigidly over the tiny body, ears swiveling at every sound. "She's keeping him alive," the vet whispered. "If it weren't for her, he wouldn't be here." The mother dog nudged the puppy gently, pressing her nose to his head, licking his tiny body with deliberate, meticulous care. Ryan knelt nearby, brushing a hand over her head. She flinched at first, but then allowed it, eyes softening just for a moment as if acknowledging his respect. "You're a hero," he murmured. But peace was fleeting. Later that afternoon, Dr. Callahan noticed a sharp change in the puppy's vitals. Heart rate irregular, breathing shallow. She frowned. "This isn't good," she murmured, adjusting the IV. Ryan and Denise leaned closer. The mother dog stiffened, ears swiveling, head raised, growling low and warning. She could sense the danger the humans could not. The puppy whimpered softly, tiny limbs trembling. The mother pressed closer, growling, her nose against his chest, her body taut and tense. Ryan felt his chest tighten. "Come on, little guy," he whispered. "You've got to fight. We're not giving up on you." Hours passed like this, tense, silent, every second a battle against time. The puppy's strength waned. Dr. Callahan moved quickly, calling for additional fluids, adjusting medications, and trying everything in her medical knowledge to keep the tiny life clinging to the world. The mother dog refused to move, refusing food or water, her focus absolute. Then the worst happened. The monitors flatlined, 1, 2, 3 times. Ryan's stomach dropped. The mother dog stiffened violently, letting out a piercing, desperate howl that seemed to echo through every corner of the station. She pressed herself flat against the puppy, whining, whimpering, nudging him with frantic energy. Her instincts screamed that he was slipping from her grasp. Dr. Callahan acted immediately, performing emergency procedures. Ryan and Denise hovered, tense, helpless, hearts hammering. The puppy's chest didn't rise. Not yet. Not again. The mother dog growled low and guttural, eyes fixed on the tiny body, refusing to believe. She licked the puppy's face frantically, nudged him repeatedly, whined mournfully. Then suddenly, a faint movement. The puppy's chest rose slightly. A shallow gasp escaped him. The mother stiffened, eyes wide, ears pricked. She nudged him again. A weak whimper followed. Slowly, tremulously, life returned to his fragile body. The monitors beeped again, irregular but positive. Ryan let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Denise wiped tears from her eyes. Dr. Callahan muttered under her breath, "That's miraculous, pure willpower." The mother dog pressed closer, licking every inch of the puppy's face and chest. Her whine softened into low, rhythmic sounds, as if singing a lullaby only she could understand. Ryan and Denise watched, stunned, as instinct and love triumphed over the cruel odds stacked against this tiny life. But the reprieve was fragile. Ryan's phone buzzed with an alert from a neighbor, a tip about a suspicious vehicle seen near the abandoned warehouse earlier that day. It matched the description of the black SUV. Ryan's stomach tightened. Whoever had abandoned the litter might be back, and she might bring more danger. The mother dog stiffened at the sound of the notification on the phone. Her ears twitched, head turning sharply toward the station door. Denise whispered, "She knows," and Ryan nodded grimly. It wasn't imagination. The mother dog could sense a threat humans could barely perceive. As night fell, the city lights outside reflected off the station windows, long shadows stretching across the floor. The mother dog never left the puppy, even when officers tried to offer a blanket or food. Her dedication was absolute. Her growls warned of threats invisible to human eyes. Her eyes, wide and fearful, scanned every corner, every shadow. Dr. Callahan adjusted the IV line, whispering, "You've got him now. Don't let go." The mother dog stiffened at her words, as if understanding their significance. Ryan and Denise could only watch, powerless but vigilant. Then came the sound, a faint tapping almost imperceptible from the hallway outside the kennel room. The mother dog stiffened, growling low and protective. The puppy whimpered weakly, sensing her tension. Ryan's pulse raced. Whoever or whatever was approaching had not yet revealed themselves. Footsteps drew closer, slow and deliberate. The mother dog's growl deepened, warning of danger. Ryan and Denise froze, knowing better than to underestimate her instincts. She was defending not just a puppy but the essence of life itself. Suddenly, the door handle rattled. The mother dog lunged instinctively, teeth bared, low growl vibrating through her chest. Ryan stepped forward, voice firm. "Easy, easy, it's okay." The footsteps stopped. Silence fell, heavy and electric. Minutes passed. The mother dog remained alert, body coiled, tail bristling, eyes fixed on the door. Ryan's stomach churned with the knowledge that the danger had not passed, it had only paused. Somewhere out there, the breeder, Marlene Whitaker, or another unseen threat could be moving, waiting, plotting. The puppy whimpered again, tiny and fragile, pressing against the mother's chest. Her low growl turned into a whine, a soft, desperate call. Ryan reached out, stroking her back gently. "She's not leaving him, not for a second," Denise whispered. And in that moment the station lights flickered. The mother dog stiffened violently, ears twitching, nose lifted, body tense like a spring. A shadow crossed the hallway outside. Ryan's heart hammered. The puppy's fragile whimpers sounded louder against the oppressive quiet. The mother dog growled, low and feral, warning whoever or whatever was there, "You will not touch him." The night stretched on, tense and uncertain. The puppy's life, fragile but alive, rested in the paws of a mother who refused to surrender. Ryan and Denise watched, hearts tight, knowing that every heartbeat, every breath was a victory, and that the danger had not yet passed. And then, just as the tension peaked, the mother dog whined sharply, ears flattened, tail coiled, staring toward the door as if seeing something invisible to human eyes. Ryan froze. Denise held the puppy closer. Outside, a shadow moved, a presence they could not identify. The station, once a sanctuary, felt suddenly perilous. The mother dog had saved her puppy once. She would do it again. But the question remained, would it be enough? The night had stretched long over Chicago, and the small police station seemed suspended in a fragile bubble of tension. The mother dog had not moved from the puppy's side. Every whimper, every twitch of his tiny body elicited an immediate response. A nudge, a lick, a protective stance. She had become a sentinel, guarding not just life but hope itself. Ryan and Denise had spent the evening compiling evidence against Marlene Whitaker. The surveillance footage, witness reports, and their observations painted a damning picture. But catching her in the act, proving her intent, and ensuring she would face justice required more than paperwork. It demanded strategy, timing, and a bit of luck. Dr. Callahan worked silently, adjusting IVs, checking vitals, and whispering soft reassurances to the tiny, fragile body. The puppy's chest rose and fell more steadily now, and faint signs of strength began to show in his limbs. Ryan watched, heart pounding, as the mother dog pressed herself even tighter, growling softly whenever anyone moved. Her instinctive vigilance was astonishing. Her world had shrunk to this small space and this one life. Then Ryan's phone buzzed. A tip had come in, an anonymous caller reporting that Marlene had returned to the same warehouse, likely to check on other animals or to move evidence. The officers exchanged grim looks. They had a lead. It was risky, but it was their best chance to stop her and prevent further suffering. "We need to move now," Ryan said, voice low but urgent. Denise nodded, gently lifting the puppy wrapped in blankets and securing him in the patrol car. The mother dog hesitated, ears twitching, growling low. She would not leave her child behind. Ryan crouched to her level. "We'll bring him back safe. You have to come with us." For a tense moment, she hesitated. Then, with a soft whine, she leapt into the back seat beside the puppy, her body curling protectively around him. Ryan exhaled, heart pounding. She had trusted them once, and now she was trusting them again, risking herself to ensure his safety. The drive to the warehouse was silent but tense. The mother dog's ears twitched constantly, eyes scanning the streets as if she could see through walls. Every honk, every distant siren, every shadow drew a low growl. Denise's grip on the blankets tightened around the puppy. She's amazing," Denise whispered. Ryan nodded, jaw tight. "She's more than amazing, she's a guardian, and right now she's the only reason he's alive." Arriving at the warehouse, the officers exited the vehicle cautiously, the mother dog stepping lightly beside them, muscles coiled, ready to spring. Ryan gestured for Denise to stay with the puppy in the car, where he would be safe. She hesitated but understood. The mother dog's instincts would guide them better than any human caution. The warehouse loomed ahead, dark, shadowed, and ominous. A faint light flickered inside, casting long, jagged shapes on the walls. Ryan motioned to Denise. "Stay here, keep him covered. Don't open the door for anyone but us." She nodded, eyes wide with worry, holding the puppy close. Inside, the warehouse smelled of damp wood, chemicals, and fear. Crates lined the walls, many overturned, revealing remnants of cages and blankets. The evidence of cruelty was immediate and visceral. The mother dog moved ahead of Ryan, nose to the ground, sniffing, growling softly, ears flattened. Her body language screamed, "Something's here, something's wrong." Suddenly, a door creaked in the distance. Shadows shifted. Ryan's pulse quickened. "She's here," he whispered. The mother dog froze, then darted forward silently, nose twitching, body low. Ryan followed cautiously. A figure emerged from the shadows, Marlene Whitaker. She looked startled, eyes widening as she saw the dog move with purpose and fury. What are you doing here?" she stammered, raising her hands. The mother dog growled, low and menacing, hackles raised. She was not just a dog, she was a force of nature, a protector who had already defied impossible odds. Marlene stumbled backward, fear breaking through her previously composed demeanor. "It's just a misunderstanding," she said, voice trembling. Ryan stepped forward, keeping his tone calm but firm. "It's not a misunderstanding. We have footage, witness statements, and evidence from the alley. You've endangered lives. That ends tonight." The mother dog advanced a step, growling, eyes locked on Marlene. She pressed herself low, tail coiled, muscles taut. Marlene's breath hitched as she saw the determination in those golden eyes, pure, unflinching, and full of warning. Suddenly, Marlene made a move, stepping toward a crate, attempting to grab something. The mother dog lunged instinctively, snapping at her hand with a warning bite. Marlene screamed, stumbling backward. Ryan restrained the dog carefully. "Enough," he said, voice commanding. Marlene froze, hands raised, retreating into a corner. Police backup arrived moments later, alerted by Denise from the patrol car. Marlene Whitaker was taken into custody, her protests ignored. Charges of animal cruelty, endangerment, and abandonment were filed immediately. Ryan and Denise watched as she was led away, her face pale, her arrogance shattered by a mother's fury. Back at the patrol car, the mother dog immediately returned to the puppy's side, curling around him protectively, as if checking that he was unharmed. The baby whined softly, pressing against her. Dr. Callahan examined him again, smiling softly for the first time in hours. "He's going to make it," she said, voice trembling with relief. "Thanks to her." Ryan crouched beside the car, stroking the mother dog's head. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved him. You're incredible." She leaned into his hand briefly, then returned to the puppy, pressing him close, refusing to leave his side. Denise wiped her eyes, clutching the blankets tightly around the baby. She's more than a dog. She's a hero." The city lights outside glimmered in the night, casting long shadows on the patrol car. Inside, life had been saved, justice served, but at a cost. The mother dog's vigilance, courage, and unwavering love had turned the tide against cruelty. Her instincts had guided the officers, her determination had protected the vulnerable, and her love had ensured survival. But Ryan knew this story would linger in their hearts forever. The cruelty they had witnessed, the helplessness of those tiny lives, and the fierce triumph of a mother's instinct created a narrative that was both heartbreaking and beautiful. As they drove back to the station, the mother dog lay curled around the puppy, eyes still alert, ears twitching at every sound. She had fought battles they hadn't seen, braved dangers they couldn't perceive, and triumphed where others might have failed. And though the immediate danger was over, Ryan couldn't shake the sense that the world was still full of unseen threats, challenges, and cruelty. The mother dog had proven something fundamental. Instinct, love, and courage could defy even the harshest odds. And as the patrol car moved through the quiet city streets, she remained vigilant, guardian, and hero, watching over the tiny life she had sworn to protect, and ensuring that no harm would come to him again. The first rays of dawn spilled across the city streets, painting the skyscrapers in pale gold. Inside the station, the mother dog still lay curled protectively around her puppy, though the frantic energy of the previous nights had softened into a watchful calm. The tiny life in her care stirred gently, eyes blinking open, chest rising and falling steadily. For the first time since his near-fatal ordeal, Ryan allowed himself to feel hope. Denise knelt beside the pair, brushing a stray lock of fur from the puppy's face. "You did it," she whispered softly. "You kept him alive." The mother dog's eyes flicked up at her, a slow, deliberate glance that seemed to convey understanding. She nuzzled her baby, pressing him closer. Every inch of her body spoke of unwavering vigilance, of fierce devotion, of love that refused to surrender to despair. The previous night's confrontation with Marlene Whittaker had left a heavy mark. Charges had been filed, and the breeder was now in custody, facing serious felony counts of animal cruelty and neglect. But the emotional scars, on the puppy she had discarded, on the mother who had risked everything, and on the officers who had witnessed the ordeal, could not be erased. Ryan and Denise had seen firsthand the raw capacity for both cruelty and compassion. Dr. Callahan hovered nearby, examining the puppy one last time before preparing a safe transport to a specialized care center. "He's stable enough for transfer," she said, her voice tinged with relief. "With continued care, he should make a full recovery. And this," she added, glancing at the mother dog, "this is the reason he survived. She is remarkable." The mother dog stiffened slightly at the mention of leaving. Her eyes were wide, alert, wary. Ryan knelt beside her, whispering soothing words. "You're not losing him, you're coming with us. We're not letting anything happen to him again." She hesitated for a moment, ears flicking, then nudged the puppy gently with her nose as if giving consent. It was a silent acknowledgement that the battle wasn't over, but survival was possible now. Outside, a transport vehicle waited. The puppy, wrapped carefully in blankets, was secured in a cozy carrier, his tiny body trembling with residual fear and weakness. The mother dog leapt into the back seat beside him, pressing herself against his carrier with a protective fierceness that made the officers step back in awe. Denise placed a reassuring hand on her head. "You're still the hero," she whispered. As the vehicle pulled away from the station, Ryan watched in quiet reflection. The mother dog had done more than save her puppy. She had reminded everyone around her of the power of instinct, love, and courage. The ordeal had revealed the darkest corners of human cruelty, yet also the brightest capacity for resilience and devotion. The journey to the care center was tense but uneventful. The mother dog refused to leave her puppy's side, whining softly whenever the vehicle swerved or stopped, eyes darting toward every shadow outside the windows. The officers in the front seats exchanged glances, realizing that they were witnessing a bond that transcended words, a protective force that no human intervention could replicate. At the care center, Dr. Callahan and her team took over, ensuring the puppy received round-the-clock medical attention. The mother dog, though initially tense, relaxed slightly in the presence of a secure environment. She settled beside the puppy's carrier, pressing her nose gently against him, eyes still watchful, ears twitching at every sound. Ryan and Denise stood back, letting the professionals handle the transfer. "She's incredible," Denise whispered, tears threatening to fall. "I've never seen devotion like this, not from a human, not even from most parents." Ryan nodded. "She taught us something about love, about courage, about how far a mother will go to protect her child." Over the next few days, updates came in. The puppy, now named Chance, was growing stronger. His tiny body, once frail and trembling, began to fill out with health and vitality. The mother dog, now officially named Hope, remained inseparable from him. She allowed the staff to provide care and food, but never left his side. Every time he stirred or whimpered, she nudged him back toward warmth and safety, a living reminder of survival and unwavering love. Meanwhile, legal proceedings against Marlene Whittaker continued. Ryan received word that additional charges were being considered for other abandoned animals discovered during the investigation. Justice was taking shape, slow but certain. For Ryan and Denise, it was a relief, but their minds often returned to the mother dog and her tiny, fragile charge. They knew that the ordeal had changed everyone involved. Weeks later, the care center organized an adoption event for animals rescued from abusive situations. Hope and Chance were at the center of attention, their story already spreading through local media and social channels. People were drawn not just to the puppy's survival, but to the mother dog's unwavering courage. News outlets broadcast images of Hope curled protectively around Chance, and the story went viral, a testament to instinct, devotion, and the triumph of life against cruelty. Visitors reached out, offering homes, donations, and support, but Hope refused to leave Chance. Even in the bustle of attention, she pressed close, guarding, nurturing, teaching him through gentle nudges and careful licks. Chance, now stronger, wagged his tiny tail in response, eyes bright, but still learning the depth of the bond that had saved him. Ryan and Denise visited the care center regularly. Each time they marveled at the mother dog's vigilance, the puppy's growing strength, and the quiet, unspoken lessons unfolding before them. They realized that survival wasn't just about physical rescue. It was about love, trust, and the courage to fight against impossible odds. One evening, as the sun set behind the city skyline, painting the care center in hues of orange and gold, Ryan and Denise watched Hope nuzzle Chance. She stood for a moment, ears alert, scanning the area as if ensuring no threat remained, then lowered herself gently beside him. The puppy wriggled closer, pressing against her warmth, a tiny sigh of contentment escaping his lips. Hope's eyes met Ryan's. There was understanding there, a silent acknowledgement of the journey, of the dangers faced, of the love that had carried them through. Ryan felt a lump in his throat. In that moment, the story was complete, not in the sense of an ending, but in the sense of survival, triumph, and enduring connection. The city continued its hum outside, unaware of the small miracles happening within the care center. But inside, Hope had proven that instinct could triumph over cruelty, that courage could overcome despair, and that love, raw, fierce, unrelenting, could save a life against impossible odds. As night fell, Ryan whispered to Denise, she didn't just save her puppy, she saved all of us from forgetting what true devotion looks like. Denise nodded, eyes misty. They watched as Hope shifted slightly, pressing her nose against Chance's head, whispering her protection through her gentle, insistent presence. And in that quiet room, surrounded by the soft breathing of a tiny life and the unshakable determination of a mother's heart, they understood the full scope of the story. Hope could survive, even in the darkest moments. Love could endure, even against cruelty. And sometimes the smallest creatures carry the greatest courage. Hope and Chance had survived, and through their bond they had reminded the world, fragile life is precious and love is unstoppable.